Black Widow was directed by Kate Shortland and it stars Scarlett Johansson as the title character. And this is a cross between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. And this might be Scarlett Johansson's last performance as Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, I'm not going to tell you what happened to her. You gotta watch it. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, I'm not going to tell you. So anyway, let's talk about it. In this movie, Natasha Romanoff reunites with her Russian family, and also she's also on a hunt to find someone who's responsible. She's also on a hunt for revenge to find someone who's responsible for her trauma, and also her and her family must work together to also fight against Taskmaster, and now we got our movie. I was really looking forward to seeing this movie because, tell you all this, I was really looking forward to seeing this movie, but I didn't get a chance to watch it when this movie came out. I was just like, oh, I'm going to be late on this review. And basically, I am far behind. Sorry about that. It's just that I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did watch it. I did get a chance to watch it today, and said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get this movie review out of the way, and that's pretty much it. So I watched it on Disney Plus instead, and that's all. That's just pretty much it. So I watched it, and I enjoyed it. So how was it? It was really good, but there were some things I liked and some things I did not like. Kinda. But also, the reason why I was looking forward to seeing this movie is because a lot of fans had been waiting to see this movie. Because this movie was pushed back a couple of times due to the pandemic that happened last year. The movie was pushed back. The movie was going to come out May 2020, but it got pushed back to November 2020. But the movie was also going to come out May 2021. But it got pushed back again to July 9th, which was like a couple of weeks ago. And now we have Black Widow. And I was just like, this movie should have been out. Y'all should have been made this movie after the events of Civil War. And let me tell y'all something. So, I guess Marvel decided, like, you know what? Let's give Black Widow her own solo movie. So I was like, well, yeah, but they should have been made this movie back. Let me tell y'all something. Let's say Black Widow should have came out in 2016 after the events of Captain America Civil War. That would have been easy. I mean, that should have been that. I think, to my opinion, that should have happened in the first place. So that's all I gotta say. I actually got a chance to watch it after watching the trailer for this movie. After watching the teaser trailer for this movie, I got so excited to see this movie. So I was hyped for it. I was happy to see the trailer. And then after watching the movie now, I was just like, I'm like, okay. Now I did see some stuff that I liked and did see some things I did not like. And I'm just like, okay. Now I see where this is going. Now let's start off with the actors and the characters. So let's start off with Scarlett Johansson. Now I gotta tell you, I believe this is her last role after what happened to her in Endgame, which I'm not gonna tell you if you haven't seen Endgame, even though I understand Endgame came out, which I understand Endgame came out like 2019. No wait, yeah, I was right. Avengers Endgame came out 2019, so if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, I'm not going to tell you what happened to Black Widow. So, I got to tell you, Scarlett Johansson was really good in this movie, even though this might be her last performance, and then she's probably done. She's done. I mean, she's probably finished. Even though she's been really good, she's been really incredible. She's been really good in the MCU ever since she started ever since she's made her first appearance in Iron Man 2. Which that was unexpected, and I'm like, when I was a kid seeing Iron Man 2, I was just sitting there like, who is this person? Then I found that it was, even though I didn't, but it's Black Widow. That was Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, in Iron Man 2. So Scarlett Johansson, I actually do want to thank her for being in these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, for playing Natasha Romanoff and Black Widow. She really inspired a lot of fans playing this character. But I gotta tell you, like I said, Scarlett Johansson was really great in this movie. I do like her moves and her stunts and her action fighting moves of some sort. She's really good in this movie. And with Florence Pugh as Yolanda Belova, mostly. Belova, whatever her last name is. Yeah, I think it's Belova. With Florence Pugh, I gotta tell you, she's easily the best part of this movie, even though she's really terrific in this movie. And I do like her moves as well. I thought her performance and her acting was pretty good. And that's all I gotta say for her. And with Rachel Weisz is also really great in this movie. I gotta tell you, Rachel Weisz is also really great in this movie as well. Because she's kind of, well, mostly she is, well, okay. Because in the movie, she is mostly the mother to, she's a mother to both Natasha and Yolanda. So mostly she's really good in this movie, and that's all I gotta say. And with now I gotta tell you about David Harbour. David Harbour as Red Guardian, like, why? No offense, but I think David Harbour was really good in this movie. But I asked myself, why him as Red Guardian? Even though no offense, but Red Guardian doesn't have a beard. No offense with David Harbour. So, I think, like I said, David Harbour is really great in this movie, and I gotta tell you, I like David Harbour. I like David Harbour as an actor, but I really liked him in this movie way better than he was in the 2019 Hellboy movie. Even though he was in the Hellboy movie, I was just like, David Harbour was really good, but I think Ron Perlman's Hellboy was better. So, like I said, David Harbour is really good in this movie. And I heard some people were talking about the villain. I gotta tell you, Taskmaster is in this movie. Taskmaster is mostly kind of like a little bit like a villain in this movie. But I did find some things I was just like, okay. Taskmaster's not in the movie all that much. And I'm like, no. Every villain always gets screen time. Not just every villain, but a hero and a villain should always get screen time in every single movie. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they do a really good job with the villains. But sometimes I think sometimes the villains get screwed up. Sometimes. But with this villain, Taskmaster, like, I gotta tell you, Taskmaster, in my opinion, he was fine as the villain. It's just that he wasn't in the movie all that much. I wish that he had a little bit more screen time. I'm just saying. So, I think that's... And I think that's it. And everyone else is also fine, good, okay, and that's pretty much it. So I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you the story, the plot for this movie is, like, I'm just unexpected to see the plot for this movie, and I'm just sitting here like, this, like I said, this movie should have came out after the events of Captain America Civil War back in 2016. They should have made that, Marvel should have made that happen in the first place, but then they were just like, you know what, let's make Black Widow. Let's give Black Widow her own movie, probably something like that. And I think the plot for this movie was, in my opinion, I was like, okay, now I see what's going on with the plot for this movie. The plot is fine, and the plot for this movie, I gotta tell you, it was okay. So I wish they did something better with it, but there's some incredible action scenes in this movie. There was an action scene going back and forth, now, all the action scenes in this movie were awesome. I love all the action sequences, and I love all the fighting and stunt moves, and I do like Black Widow's moves in the movie. And I do like most of the other action sequences. But there was one action scene that's going back and forth. There was an action scene. There's another scene. Going to the next scene. Going to the back to the action scene. Going to the next scene and going back to the action scene. And I'm just like, okay. Well, it didn't do it a couple of times. I only did it once. And it was only one scene and going back and forth. And I'm just like, okay. I said, no. Focus on that action scene. And then after that action scene, you move on to the next level. It's not that simple. And what's really cool about the movie, that I know a lot of Marvel fans have been waiting to see a Black Widow movie, probably for a while, probably after either she appeared in Iron Man 2, or after the events of Civil War, or after the events of the Winter Soldier, or mostly before Infinity War came out. And I'm like, kinda. But I'm not gonna say much, but nonetheless, I think this movie was pretty good. I think this movie was really, really good, but I think there was some stuff that should have been better, like the villain. Like Taskmaster, I wish they did something with Taskmaster, even though I heard some people, I think when, I think some people who saw this movie, who saw Black Widow, was like, wait, what happened to Taskmaster? I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. You gotta watch the movie. But when I heard them talking about Taskmaster, I was just like, oh my god, now I see what's going on. Now I see what's going on. So I well, I didn't see what's going on. I take that back. I'm just looking at it like, what happened there? Like, what even happened? What happened there? I don't know. But I think Taskmaster was a great villain. Like I said, I wish he had a little bit more screen time in this movie, but he had a less screen time. I said no, he should have a little bit more screen time. But not just him, but also also Natasha Romanoff and Yolanda and to Natasha's parents in the movie. Should have had more screen time as well. Well, actually they're in the movie a lot. It's just that Taskmaster should also be in the movie a lot too. Um, and I think Black Widow is a really good movie, and I think the plot for the movie, sometimes, I think there's some plot, sometimes the plot can be really, really good or incredible, but sometimes the plot can be, a little bit cheesy. But I think the story for this movie, I think there's some parts of the story that was really cool for me to look at, but there was some stuff that I was just like, okay, they need to fix that. And I think Black Widow, in my opinion, is a really good movie, and I think Black Widow was easily one of the best films. Black Widow is a great movie, even though I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I gotta say, thank you, Scarlett Johansson, for being Black Widow after the events of Iron Man, after all these years since, well, after all, well, I would say, like, I want to say thank you to Scarlett Johansson for inspiring Marvel fans and being the best role for Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, since Iron Man 2, and also the rest of the Marvel, and also some of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So I want to thank Scarlett Johansson for that. Thank you, Scarlett Johansson, so much. So, I mean, Scarlett Johansson, she's a really good actress. I mean, I actually really liked her as Black Widow, even though she's really great. I think that's about it for this movie. And I think that's about it. I didn't want to say much. Excuse me. So I think that's about it for this movie review for Black Widow. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, a little bit far behind. It's just I tried the best I can to get a chance to watch this movie, but I said, you know what, fine. I'll watch it on Disney Plus and call it a day. So I watched it. It was awesome. And I think that's about it for this movie review for Black Widow. So be sure to like, subscribe, press notification button, follow me on Instagram, comment down below, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you for watching.